In a previous video, when I was showing off that multi-system Samsung that can convert between PAL, CCAM, PAL N, PAL M, and NTSC, somebody brought up a question about ME CCAM and what it was and how it works, and I figured we'll try a little experiment because this will do that format as well. I wasn't planning on doing any type of repairs today because today being Sunday, and I don't normally work in the shop on Sunday. When I do a video on Sunday, it's usually something of my own I'm just tinkering around with, and that's what's going to happen today. So I'm going to take a look at this, the multi-system. We know it's got a bad ground. It's going to be the head grounding electrode more than likely, but we're going to take a look at that. But I also have this other piece of crap, this AWA, however you pronounce it, super multi-digital. Now this thing was a piece of crap when it was new. It can convert PAL to NTSC and NTSC to PAL, but it does a really poor job of doing it. But you see, it also has ME CCAM playback, and I've never tried playing CCAM tape on this because I didn't think this monitor supported CCAM, which we now know that it does. So first of all, let's take a look at the PAL tape playing on this one. That's if it doesn't eat the tape. It hasn't been used in a while. Let's hope it doesn't eat the tape. I don't have any sound on here, so did it just break? Oh, I guess it doesn't work. It did last time I tried it, but I guess this one it's broken. Belts have probably gone bad in this one, but it's going to eat my tape. Well, it didn't eat my tape, but it certainly didn't play it. I wanted to see what this would do. Maybe if we tried a couple times, it might play something. That's a little more like it. I just happen to have a little bit of a problem with the inputs and outputs kind of being reversed. Gee, it doesn't have a very good picture, does it? This thing has a terrible picture. If I flip this thing to convert to NTSC, well, we're going to see the worst conversion that you would ever expect to see. And I mean, this thing was pathetic. How they sold these machines for $500 back in the day, I'll never know. But people bought them. And I could probably put this thing up for sale and some sucker would buy it off of me. It was given to me. I had a pair of these at one time. I actually bought them when I first got into the conversion business, but I didn't use them very long because, well, they looked pathetic. But I guess because it was better than nothing. I think the heads might be a bit dirty on here, that's why it's looking a bit rough. Anyway, that's the way it converts. Tracking, that might be better. Oh, there we go. Turn the tracking on. There, that looks a little better. There's the output in PAL. The output in PAL looks fine, right? There's no problem as a PAL machine. When I got mine, I actually used an outboard converter for a while before I got an AGW one. But here's the conversion. I mean, the conversion really leaves a lot to be desired. It really looks, well, you can see how bad it looks. These ones also had the ability to automatically selects PAL. I guess you can't change it. I think the head just clogged. There we go. It's cleared again. Anyway, that's the converter. No converter on, converter on. They look like absolute garbage. Now this machine here, whoops, pushing the wrong button here. Where was eject? These units did not deal with CCAM tapes at all. I've never ever tried to play a CCAM tape in here. This is a French CCAM tape, incidentally. Now these will do MEC cam. I'm curious as to whether it will detect it as a CCAM tape and whether it will try to output it as something. It detects it as a PAL tape. Well, it plays it as PAL in black and white, and if I press the button on the front here, will it kick over? See, it won't play it because it's not recorded in MEC cam. This is our Middle East CCAM. This is actually a French CCAM, and this machine will try to play it as a PAL tape in black and white. So somebody made a comment that MEC cam was compatible, but it's actually not. It is a completely distinct, different system. And this tape is a French CCAM tape. Converter won't do anything to it. So let's get this piece of junk out of the way, and we'll go back to the Samsung. And I've dug up the remote control for it because I want to see what some of the features are. Because from what I understand, it does MEC cam as well, and should be able to record an MEC cam tape that would play on this other machine. But let's get back to this one because I gotta fix that grounding electrode problem on here. That's why I'm doing this today, just to see if I can get this one to work properly without all that static in the screen. Incidentally, if you have one of these machines, you actually need the remote control. Half the features on this thing you can't do without the remote control. Yes, you can change your output system, NTSC, PAL, and so forth, CCAM, PAL-M, PAL-N, but you can't change your input system, and you can't do other things because there's auto input select. So it'll play a tape, but if you want to have the full features of this unit, you need to have the remote control. And this is where you would select things such as, there we go, timer programming, not that it would ever be used, installation, user set, or is it under this one or not? Tape type, user set 2. There we go. You see, it does support SQ playback, which will allow you to play a Super VHS tape. You need the remote for it. What I'm going to try on this thing is, because if we go into the output system, you can see that this will actually select Middle East CCAM as well. So you can select through NTSC 4.43, and you'll see my monitor is changing accordingly. PAL-M, PAL, PAL-N, CCAM, and MEC cam for the output. What I want to try to do on this thing is I want to try to take a tape, and I'm going to set it to MEC cam, and I'm going to plug it into that other little piece of crap and try making a recording and see what it does, whether it will record a tape in MEC cam. And I'll try converting that CCAM tape to MEC cam and recording it on the other machine. And we'll play around with other stuff here. Let's just try this, play around with this thing a bit, and see what it will do. So I'm going to try taking a tape, and I'll try converting it to MEC cam and or Middle East CCAM, and try to record it on the other machine, and see what the other machine will do with it and how it will work, what it will do, because I've never really played around with that. I know my my old Panasonic, it had a separate button for MEC cam. So I've select the Middle East CCAM mode. I've got it plugged into the IWA. I'm going to load a blank tape in here and I'm going to try recording something from this unit here and having the output go as a Middle East CCAM signal, just using this as a standards converter, and we'll see what it looks like. See how this machine will record it and what it will record it as. We'll record color bars from a tape. So this is being converted from NTSC to MEC cam. The MEC cam light is lit up on the front of this one, and on this one here, what's the output showing? I guess it's not showing anything because it's not outputting any of these formats. It's outputting as a Middle East CCAM. Now we saw what happened on this deck before. When I played a French CCAM tape, it played it back in black and white, and that's why I've picked color bars to record. So let's see what happens when I play this tape back. The monitor shows it's a CCAM signal, but it's being encoded as a Middle East CCAM output, and this deck here is detecting it. So let's just see what happens when I play this back. So stop it, go back into play. And it plays. I want to see what the screen shows here when I play it. It shows it as a CCAM signal being played off this machine, but as we saw before, when I played a known CCAM tape, it played it in black and white. So there's ME CCAM. So we know that ME CCAM is definitely different than regular CCAM. If I switch this machine into regular CCAM, should be able to do that just by pushing the button on the front here. Okay, so now we're in CCAM. If I hit play and record on this other machine again, so now this machine is still indicating that it's a, so I'm now sending it a CCAM signal, converted, and I'm going to let this tape record. This should be a French CCAM version, by the way. It still says it's ME CCAM. What I'm curious is it going to play it in color? Is there any difference to the actual video signal that's being recorded? In other words, is this taking a regular CCAM signal and recording it as an ME CCAM encoded signal? And if so, what happens if I take that French CCAM tape and try to play it back? And it plays it back. So let's try the French CCAM signal, or the French CCAM tape, and see whether this machine will record it as ME CCAM. And then will that tape play in this machine? So I'll put this on through, so it's not going to do any conversion. This is the French CCAM tape playing on the Samsung. We'll hit record. It should play. It should record it as an ME CCAM recording, because CCAM is apparently CCAM. So everyone says. It's just the tape, the way that the tape was recorded was different. Like the standard is the same, but the way that the signal was laid down on tape was different for France than it was for other countries. So this is a French CCAM tape that looks not too bad, playing in CCAM on my multi-system monitor. Let's play that back. And will it play? And the answer to that is yes, it will. It will play. The copy will play. But if I take that original tape, as I showed you before, if I take that original tape out and put it in this machine, it plays in black and white. Now the question is, what will this tape do if I put it into the Samsung? And there's the French CCAM tape playing, and according to this, it's trying to play it as a PAL signal. It shows as PAL. and there's no way to switch it. Now the question is, what happens when I put this tape, which I recorded in MECam, what happens when I play that tape in through mode without switching anything over? Will it play? It should. So here are the color bars. It's showing it that it is a CCAM signal that's on here, because I can convert it to PAL, or I can put it in through, and in through it's showing it as a CCAM signal. So even though it is MECam, it is recorded. Look at how bad the color is on this. This is horrible. But it does record it. And the MECam light is lit on this machine, even though it's just passing the signal through. So there was the French CCAM tape that was recorded in Middle East CCAM on this machine. I'm not going to get into this machine and see if I can find that loose ground that was causing the lines in the picture when I first fired this thing up the other day. See if I can tap it and get the noise to come back or go away. Usually it's the ground discharge electrode on the head itself. I'll just remove the tape. We're going to pull the chassis out just so I can see that it's tight, because that's usually what it is. It's usually on the bottom of the drum. Quite often it's right here on the bottom where the grounds connect from the board to the base for shielding. Quite often that's where the fault lies on a lot of these machines. I'll put a little bit of extra solder on here just to give it a little bit of a build up, but I'm still going to pull the deck out and check the ground electrode on the bottom. So to pull the deck, got a couple of screws that come out. And a couple of plugs. Got to remove the loading motor plug and the head and a drum. And there's a screw here. And two more in the back. And I think then the chassis should lift out all these. I haven't taken too many of these ones apart. Oops, take that off. Just like that. And this one does not have a ground electrode that I was expecting. The ground back here, ground tab, I was expecting there to be electrode on here. So on this one it's going to be on the top side. It's going to be on where the motor is. But there's the chassis itself. Just a single belt, in good shape on this one. Mode switch is there. Not going to bother with that. I'll pull the motor apart for the drum here because there should be a ground inside here. There's a spring there, it says in place. going to build up a little bit of solder around these tabs here for the ground. Don't need much, just a bit. Just for the base. Okay, give this thing a last test play. We'll put it through the motions. So that's NTSC. Convert it to PAL. Does a pretty good job. This machine is actually one of the better. Look at the motion on this, it's great. This is one of the better conversion machines that I've seen for converting tapes between different formats. It doesn't have the crap look that the old AGW1 had, which always had a lot of motion, judder. Even go over to CCAM. Flawless. Looks fantastic. PAL M. PAL N, back to NTSC. I mean, really, when you're looking at that picture, you really don't notice much of a difference between one and the other. I'll kill the lights here. There's the original recording. We'll convert it to PAL. There it is in PAL. It looks virtually identical to the original. Go back to the original. Go to CCAM. I'm going to put the SVHS tape in and just turn on the SQ playback. We'll see how that looks. So here's the Super VHS tape. I've not turned on the SQ playback yet. As you can see, it looks like crap. If I go into, oh, maybe it's under user set. It was under user set number 2. SQ playback. That stands for SVHS quasi playback. And there it is. Now it's playing a Super VHS tape. So there's Super VHS playback. Looking pretty good. And that's being converted to CCAM, believe it or not. Let's go back to normal. This is the original. So there's what the original tape looks like in NTSC. Looking pretty good. We'll convert that over to PAL. There's the PAL conversion. Still looking pretty good. None of that crap from the Panasonic AGW1 day where everything looked just like garbage. And CCAM. And of course CCAM looks just as good. Really nothing wrong with that picture. Playing a Super VHS tape. Of course, it's not going to play it at Super VHS quality. That's the thing about SQ playback. It's Super VHS or Super Quasi playback. So it only plays it at standard resolution. It's not going to give you 400 lines of resolution off of it. Might improve it a little bit over a regular VHS tape, but it's not anywhere close to what a real Super VHS machine will deliver. But it's looking good. Go back to PAL. There's PAL. There's a good shot there when the camera pans. Not much motion choppiness on that, going from 30 to 25 frames. Same with the C-cam. Looking good. Looking real good. And back to NTSC. So hopefully I got the grounding problems resolved. Could be that little spring that wasn't making a good connection, or the electrode down here that I bent up a bit that makes contact with the chassis under here. Put a bit more solder on the board itself, because it tends to get squished between the chassis and the circuit board, and over time the connection can fail. So built them up a bit for the 2 grounding screws and took the drum apart. Everything else looks to be good on this machine. We'll turn off the SQ. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave the SQ playback on. I'm going to put a regular tape in there just so you can see what happens if you try to play a regular tape. That's the only thing I really don't like about this machine, is that you have to switch it manually. So you have your SQ playback turned on and you put a regular tape in, it's not going to look very good. It's going to look, well, you'll see. It's going to be dark. If it even plays. It'll play, but it won't look right, you see? It's kind of like what happened when you put a regular beta tape into a super beta machine. Not quite as bad as this, but if you had a super beta machine and you put a regular Betamax tape in with the super beta switch turned on, it looked like this, similar. If I try to convert it, it'll just look like crap too. But it almost looks like, you see this, you say, oh, look, it's got bad heads. You got all these dropouts. Look at that, it looks terrible. I'll turn off the playback, the SQ playback. And voila, it looks normal. So that's the only real downside with a machine like this, is that you have to manually switch between one and the other. And that's why I had to break down and buy the remote control for it, because without it you can't switch modes. Just for fun, this is the Iowa machine, multi-system machine. It's got a switch on the back for sharpness, by the way. Where was it here? It was in here somewhere. I found it before. There we go. Sharp, soft, normal. But I just wanted to, this one will convert to PAL, so I wanted to show you how bad the conversion is on this. So there's the PAL. Yeah. Now on a CRT monitor, it does not look as bad as this, but it was bad. And these were fine if you had a multi-system monitor and you could play them back in the native format, but the converter in this thing here left a lot to be desired. I don't think this one's working properly, actually. That's probably why it looks so bad. I think the converter in this thing is kind of foobar, but it never did look good. But it looks really bad now. Anyway, to sell. I got this machine for free. I'll probably sell it to some sucker. It's a multi-system machine. Look, I can play a PAL tape on it, plug this monitor in and show it. Look, it plays in PAL fine. Just don't show them the converter. So one final test I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to record some color bars from my color bar generator in my camera, and we're going to try the different formats. I'm going to see if I can record, well, I know I can record a C-cam signal and a PAL signal and an NTSC signal, and I think this will also record ME C-cam. The input select is on auto because it's getting an NTSC signal, but if I select the output, I should be able to select all the formats, and I want to see whether it will actually record as an ME C-cam signal that will play back on the other machine. So we're going to start recording some color bars. I'll start them first in NTSC. So let's hit record. And we'll record maybe 30 seconds. And then I'll switch it to PAL. And then to C-cam. And then I'll switch it to ME C-cam using the remote control to select it. So here we've got almost 30 seconds of NTSC. This is our benchmark to start with. And I'll switch it to PAL. It probably won't let me unless I stop it, so let's stop the tape. We'll switch it to PAL. PAL. And hit record again. And I'll record another 30 seconds or so in PAL. Then I'll switch it to French CCAM, and then to Middle East CCAM. And we'll take the tape out of this machine and play it back on the other machine and just see what it does. What I'm thinking is it'll switch to black and white and try to play it as a PAL signal when it's in French CCAM, because this should do French as well. So we'll stop it now. We're going to switch it to French CCAM and hit record. It'd be interesting to see the difference in the quality of the color bars too, and should obviously look a lot different coming right off the camera as opposed to how when I first tested it, I tried it just making a copy of a color bars tape. So it should look totally different taking the original source off the camera. So now I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to switch the menu, output menu. I'm going to switch it down to ME CCAM. And now when I press record, this should record in ME CCAM. And for fits and giggles, I'll even do a PAL M and PAL N recording just for the hell of it to see what happens. On the front here, there are no lights lit on the output system because it's in ME CCAM. So we'll stop it. I'll select PAL M, and we'll make another recording, and then I'll do PAL N, and then go back to NTSC, and then we'll play that tape back, and I'll let it play in its entirety. I'll play it all back, and and we'll see what it does. So this is PAL M. PAL M was used in Brazil. PAL N was used in Argentina. Stop it. Go to PAL N. Record. And then we'll stop it and go back to NTSC. Just so we've got our benchmark at the end here. And I'll switch the converter off. And now let's just play this tape back and see what happens. Let's rewind this tape back to the beginning, and we'll drag the other machine and drag it out. Oops, wrong button. Oh, it tells me on the front when it switched. The display on the front is telling me what it's doing. Okay, no converter or anything on this, it's just set to through. When I play the tape, okay, this will be the start of the recording here. So there's the NTSC recording. It says NTSC on the front. And it'll switch to PAL when we get to the 30-second mark, so we'll just let it play in real time. I know the camera's not at a very good angle to see the monitor. We're probably looking a little more washed out on the monitor, but anyway, that's NTSC. And now it switches to PAL, and this machine plays back PAL, of course. If I flip the switch here to NTSC, it'll try to convert it back, which it is. Doesn't look very good. Anyway, there's the PAL recording. The next one it's going to kick into, French CCAM, and we should lose the color. And then it should kick into Middle East CCAM. There we go. So now this is French CCAM. So this machine is still indicating PAL on the front display. The PAL light is lit, but it's playing it in black and white. And when I switch this over to ME CCAM, it should have recorded it as an ME CCAM signal on the tape, and we should get our color back. And it's indicating ME CCAM here. We have our color back. The picture quality is very poor. Look at that. That looks just absolutely horrid. We didn't see that coming out of the converter when I made the recording. It looked good, but this is just the crap of ME CCAM format off of videotape. At least on this machine, it's the crap. I don't know how the other machine plays. Now this is when I went to NTSC, or no, PAL M. PAL M. This is PAL M that's playing. And it plays in black and white. This machine thinks it's an NTSC because PAL M is 60 Hertz, 525 line. We'll see what happens when it goes to PAL N, which is now, it's switched to PAL N. And PAL N plays, and it just shows it as a PAL signal. And the PAL light's lighting up. And I think I went to NTSC 4.43 after this. I just want to see what this does, whether this is going to detect it as NTSC or whether it actually is recorded differently. It should be the same. And it's just NTSC. When you're playing an NTSC tape, you can push the system button and output it as an NTSC 4.43. So it's just an output format. That will switch between regular old NTSC and NTSC 4.43. Anyway, that's all I recorded on here. So now we know the Samsung can record in both French CCAM as well as Middle East CCAM, which is something that was kind of surprising. I didn't know that it would do that. But there you go. But for that, again, you need the remote control. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.